This dresser is finally getting the updated makeover that it deserves, as this is a piece that we've had sitting at the cottage for over 10 years now. It is time to say goodbye to that old yellow finish. We first needed to remove the old handles so that we could give this piece a good clean with Fusion's TSP alternative. And for this project, we want to go back to raw wood on the top of the dresser, the top drawer, and the bottom of this piece, so we are using a paint stripper to remove the old yellow varnish. We spray this on, let it sit for about 20 minutes before we come back and we start scraping off as much of the old finish as we can. This is an optional step. You could just jump straight into sanding if the coating wasn't very thick. And after we removed as much as we could of the old finish, we started sanding using 120 grit sandpaper so that we could get back to the raw wood, because we're going to be creating a paint wash using Milk Paint by Fusion for these areas. Once those areas were sanded down, we went back and cleaned one more time using Fusion's TSP alternative. This is a water-based degreaser with a no-rinse formula, and it thoroughly cleans your surfaces before painting. And for those areas that we sanded back to raw wood, we are going to be using the color Toasted Coconut for our milk paint wash. Milk paint is so easy to use. All you do is mix 1 part water to 1 part milk powder, stir this, and start painting it beautiful. A pro tip, make sure to add your powder on top of the water so that you can easily stir and the powder won't get stuck to the bottom of your container. The great thing about milk paint is the versatility of it. You can get virtually any look you want simply by the mix. For example, we are wanting a wash, so we added a little more water to thin out the paint to make it more like a stain. If we wanted it more solid, we would simply add more powder. It's that simple. Just add the powder and water together, mix for 30 seconds, and paint. You can be really messy with milk paint. Apply it liberally and then brush it out even and wipe back for the paint wash effect. We repeated these steps on the top drawer of the dresser, and the milk paint took about 20 minutes to dry. We do want to seal this milk paint, but we're going to come back to that at the end once we've painted and finished the rest of the piece. For the rest of the drawers and the body of the dresser, we painted this in the color Bellwood by Fusion Mineral Paint, and this would really absorb the paint. We only ended up needing 1 coat for the finish that we wanted, and you can still see the beautiful oak wood grain coming through. For this piece, we wanted to demonstrate how to avoid brush strokes. So Jen is using an economy brush here, which is great for beginners if you aren't ready to invest in a good quality Stallmeister brush yet. Less is more when it comes to your paint. You don't need as much as you think on your brush. We like to go a third, maybe halfway up the brush when dipping it into the paint, and then wipe off the excess. Depending on your surface, it's either going to have your paint sit on it and drag across, or sink in. You can see in this video how dry the wood is, so we needed to add a bit more paint. But now you can see that there's so much more extra that it creates texture. So what you'll want to do is spread it out, going end to end, making sure that your brush is flat and dragging it across. You will have a couple minutes to work with Fusion Mineral Paint. If it's very humid where you're painting, you'll have an even longer open time with your paint. However, if you're in a drier climate and you need a little bit more open time with your paint to really go end to end to smooth out brush strokes, you can always take one of our Fusion misters and mist a little water on your surface to give you extra time. Essentially, apply the paint to your surface and then even it out. Don't worry if you've put too much on at the start, because you can always remove it, and if you have any texture, you simply have too much paint on your brush or your roller, so wipe off the excess so that there is less on your brush and pass it over and over again to smooth it all out. And now back to the makeover portion, where we added a unique look, and our favorite part of this makeover, we added some details using a stencil on the top drawer of the dresser. To get the best results, you want to tape the stencil into place so that it doesn't move. And the most important part when it comes to stenciling is to have as little paint on your brush as possible. You want to dip into your paint and then dab off the excess into a paper towel. And because this stencil has very thin lines, we are going to be using the dabbing method instead of swirls. This only takes a few minutes and you get an amazing, unique look. And the most satisfying part is peeling back the stencil. Eventually, once we were finished the entire piece, we went back and sealed the milk paint areas with some hemp oil. Hemp oil is food safe, eco-friendly, and very easy to use. You can even apply this directly onto the piece and just rub it in using your hands. Then all you need to do is wipe back any excess. To add the finishing touch to this piece, we added these new handles to really tie everything together. We could not be happier with how this turned out. It is such a difference from where we started, and we absolutely love how this looks. We love sharing everything paint, so make sure to subscribe to our Fusion Mineral Paint YouTube channel so that you never miss a makeover.